Evening, Chairman.
Good evening, Judge.
Got my volume way too loud.
Commissioner Coleman is here.
Thank you, Commissioner Coleman.
You're welcome.
Judge, you're really quiet.
Okay, let's see what I can do about that. Thank you.
Commissioner Holzman here.
Jackie, is that any better?
Yes, that sounds good. Thanks.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm sorry for everybody who's having to listen to this. We'll start in just a second.
Did anybody get Commissioner Holzman's on? I don't know if I was muted or not.
Thank you, Commissioner Holzman. I'm sorry, I did get that. I should have responded.
Thank you.
And I can see that my court reporter's here, so let's go on the record. Good evening. You just finished the question and answer portion of the local public hearing, and hopefully you were able to get some of your questions answered. Now it's time for the formal part of the hearing where the public may offer comments to the commission. I'm going to ask that everybody mute themselves unless they're speaking, and that will cut down on the noise level and prevent audio feedback. Now today is October 7th, 2021, and the current time is 6:38 p.m. And the Missouri Public Service Commission has set aside this time for a local public hearing in the case captioned as case number ER-2021-0240, which is a general rate case for Ameren, Missouri to adjust Ameren, Missouri's tariffs to adjust its revenues for electric service. Now, the Commission has scheduled this local public hearing to give members of the public an opportunity to comment about Ameren, Missouri's application to adjust its rate. Now, the Missouri Public Service Commission regulates the rates charged by investor-owned public utility companies in Missouri to ensure that those rates are just and reasonable. The Commission also regulates the quality of service and the safety of operations of public utilities. Now, the Commission is made up of 5 commissioners. The commissioners are appointed by the governor to a fixed term and confirmed by the Senate. The commissioners are Chairman Ryan Silvey and Commissioners Scott Roop, Maida Coleman, Jason Holzman, and Glenn Kolkmeyer. The commissioners employ a staff of engineers, accountants, attorneys, financial analysts, and other specialists in the field of utility regulation. My name is John Clark. I'm the regulatory law judge that will preside over this hearing. And with me tonight are Chairman Silvey and Commissioners Coleman and Holzman. Now, this is an official hearing of the Missouri Public Service Commission, and the statements and testimony of the public witnesses will be recorded by a court reporter and must be given under oath or affirmation. All of the commissioners will have an opportunity to read all the witnesses' remarks, and the commissioners value your comments and input. Chairman Silvey, do you have any welcoming remarks that you would like to make to the public?
Thank you, Judge. I want to welcome everyone for joining this hearing tonight, and thank you for your participation in this part of the process. These public hearings are really the only time we get to hear directly from the customers who will be affected by our decisions in this case. So I appreciate you taking time out of your schedule to share your thoughts with us, and it is important to us. Judge, I will turn off my camera to avoid lag. We've had that in some of our previous hearings when we have this many people on. So just letting you know, I will be turning off my camera. I am going to be listening, and I will speak up if I have any questions. Thank you, Judge.
Thank you, Chairman. And that is a problem that we've had with bandwidth. And if I'm going to ask that unless you are providing comments to the commission that you do keep your cameras off, that would help conserve some of our bandwidth for this hearing. Are there any other commissioners that would like to make any opening remarks at this time? Okay, I'll begin by...
Thank you, Judge. Judge, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Go ahead, Commissioner.
Okay, thank you. Just want to echo Chairman Silvey's comments, and just to say that Testimony does matter. We do listen, and we do appreciate you taking time to let us know your thoughts.
Great. Thank you, Commissioner Holzman. Now I'm going to ask council to enter their appearance for the record, starting with Ameren, Missouri.
Thank you, Your Honor. James B. Lowry, appearing on behalf of Ameren, Missouri, 3406 Whitney Court, Columbia, Missouri, 65203.
Thank you, Mr. Lowry. On behalf of the commission staff.
Yes, Judge, appearing on behalf of the PSC staff, Jeff Keevil, address P.O. Box 360, Jefferson City, Missouri, 65102.
Thank you, Mr. Keevil. And from the Office of the Public Counsel.
Thank you, Mark Poston, appearing for the Office of the Public Counsel.
Thank you, Mr. Poston. And there are 6 interveners in this case. Is any attorney for any of the interveners present? Okay, I'm going to call on the people who pre-registered to offer their comments first. After that, I will allow an opportunity for anyone else who would like to comment. Now, when I call your name, I'm going to ask that you unmute your microphone. And if you're attending by telephone, that's done by pressing *6. I will ask you to swear or affirm to tell the truth and ask you to state and spell your name for the record. And then you can offer your comments to the commissions. I'm going to ask that you limit your comments to 5 minutes so that everybody gets an opportunity to speak. And also, after you've made your comments, please remain on the line for just a moment because there may be follow-up questions from either myself or one of the commissioners. Now, you just had the question and answer portion of the hearing. Now, the commissioners will not be able to answer any of your questions today, and that's because they have to remain impartial until after all the evidence is presented at the evidentiary hearing. Now, the commission has not made any decision in this case, and the commission is interested in your comments and will use them in conjunction with the evidence the parties present to make their decision. If you have questions after the hearing, you can use the same email address that you used to register for the hearing. Now, with that in mind, I'm going to call the first witness. I have right now 4 people who have registered to speak. And I'll remind you again, if you're attending by phone, you need to press *6 to unmute. Is there a Charles Buchanan?
Hi, I'm present. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Buchanan, would you please raise your right hand to be sworn?
Yes, sir. I'm going to turn my light on. There we go.
Thank you so much. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth?
Yes, sir, it is.
And would you please state and spell your name for the record?
Yes, it's Charles. And then Buchanan is Buchanan.
Okay, and Mr. Buchanan, what would you like to tell the commission?
I would like to just read a statement that I prepared. So my name is Charles Buchanan. I'm a housing advocate for Homes for All St. Louis. I work with tenants who are facing eviction. They're struggling with the financial loss brought on by COVID-19. You know, they've done everything they're supposed to do. They've applied for rental assistance, utility assistance, and they're still waiting. And while they're waiting, they're spreading every dime they have across bills and supporting their families. And they're faced with the threat of Ameren's rate increase. Tenants who are already a part of the over 200,000 Ameren customers who are behind on their electric right now. If Ameren rate increases approved, those customers who are already vulnerable are going to slip into disconnections. Utility disconnections are the warning signs of evictions. Evictions or violence. We released a petition a little over a week ago on change.org, and over 80 members of the St. Louis community stood with us in asking that the Missouri Commission deny Ameren's request for a rate increase. One of our community members asked that I read her statement. Her name is Anna Louise Smith. She lives in St. Louis. Her zip code is 63143. She's right on the edge of the city. And this is her statement. I do not believe that Ameren needs to increase their rate to be able to survive. I believe that they make plenty of money. But what I am sure of is that I know several people who have to choose between lights on and food on the table. That is the situation I have with my friend Liz, who is a mother of 3 children trying to make ends meet on a fixed income. She's in low income housing. She has to manage transportation, food, power, and gas bill, a phone, clothes, etc. Money is pretty tight. So a slight increase on Ameren can make a huge difference to someone who is making $10 an hour. Please do not let this increase happen. Thank you. And that is the end of my statement. Thank you for taking the time to hear my testimony.
Thank you, Mr. Buchanan. I don't have any questions for you. Do any of the commissioners have any questions? Okay, I hear no questions. Thank you
Um,
very much, Mr. Buchanan. You're excused. The next name I have is Sharon Jones. Is Sharon Jones here?
I'm here. Excuse me, I'm here.
Ms. Jones, would you raise your right hand to be sworn, please? Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth?
Yes, it is.
Okay, and would you please state and spell your name for the record?
My name is Sharon, Shuron. My last name is Jones, Jones.
And what would you like to tell the commission tonight?
Thank you for having me. My name is Sharon Jones, and I am an organizer with Homes for All St. Louis. I am the Tenants Bill of Rights organizer for Homes for All St. Louis. And what I want to tell the commission is what I've been hearing from residents that I work with, and that is that they can't afford an increase in their utility bills especially during the pandemic. We know through we know through canvassing with folks that some folks are living in other residencies because they can't afford their utility bills now and are disconnected, and they told us that if this increase happens, that there'll be even more of a burden on them, and if they're already disconnected. I know of one resident in particular who she is not staying in her apartment because she can't afford her utility bills, and told me that even if it were $1, that um, even $1 is too much. But we as Homes for All and another organization I'm with, State Street Tenant Resistance, we wrote out a statement, and we had folks sign this statement. And over, I think, at least 10 to 20 residents, excuse me, signed on to this statement. And I'll read it to you. We, the undersigned, represent members of the Forest Park People's Tenant Union and tenants of Forest Park Apartments. We wish to express our concern and dismay at Ameren UE's request for utility rate hikes. Tenants express concern for the purported increase of an average of $12 a household and the effect that increase will have on budgets that are already stretched to the limits. We hope that the PSC carefully considers Ameren's proposal and does not increase rates on utilities, especially during a pandemic. And like I said, we had a number of people sign on to this letter. So again, I'm 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 as a representative of folks who are struggling to pay their utilities right now. They have requested that I tell that utilities don't be increased at this time. And that'll be the end of my statement. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Jones. I appreciate your comments. I don't have any questions for you about your statement. Are there any questions from the commission? Okay, hearing none. You're excused. Thank you so much for your comments.
Thank you so much.
I'll call the next name on the list. That's Joanna Lowry. Is Joanna Lowry present? And I'll remind you again, if you are attending by phone, and you may need to press *6 to unmute your phone. Joanna Lowry? Okay, I may come back to that later. I've got one other name who has signed up tonight to speak, and that is Gary Steele. Is Gary Steele present? And again, if you're attending by phone, you may want to dial *6 to unmute. Okay, I will call those names at the end, and what I'm going to do right now is open it up to anybody else who would like to make a comment at this time. So is there anybody else who would like to offer comments to the commission about Ameren's request for rate adjustment at this time?
Yes, my name is William Wallace, and I would very much like to make a statement.
Okay, Mr. Wallace, would you raise your right hand to be sworn?
I certainly will.
Thank you. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth?
Yes, I do.
And Mr. Wallace, would you please state and spell your name for the record?
Yes, my name is William Wallace, and that is spelled William, Wallace.
And Mr. Wallace, what city are you in?
I live in Creve Coeur, Missouri, and I operate in St. John, Missouri.
Okay, thank you. And what would you like to tell the commission tonight?
Well, thank you very much for having me. My name is William Wallace, and I'm the Executive Director of Missouri Veterans Endeavor, or MOVE for short. Missouri Veterans Endeavor is a long-term supportive housing community for homeless veterans and their family members. We work with these families to help them overcome barriers such as utility debt so that they can access permanent housing and the hope they need to achieve a better future. Ameren Missouri's proposed $299 million rate increase will make it harder for the at-risk veterans we serve to access housing. The proposal would add $12 every month to the average residential utility bill at a time when 212,842 Ameren Missouri customers are behind on their electric bills. The number of Ameren customers behind on their bills more than doubled at the beginning of the pandemic, from 98,000 in December of 2019 to 221,940 by March of 2020. And it has yet substantially decreased. It has to yet substantially decrease. People are still feeling the financial pain of the pandemic, and Ameren Missouri can do more to help. Primary barrier to permanent housing that all of our homeless veterans have is financial instability. The effects of this instability include temporary or continued low income, poor credit, debt accumulation, equity disparity, and a lack of resources particular to their needs. 90% of our veterans come to us with utility debt, some of which is insurmountable, and all of which is a huge barrier to securing and maintaining permanent housing. For a person or a head of household to enter into a lease or secure a mortgage, they must be able to get utilities in their own names. This is very much the case for our veteran clients and why we support consumer protection provisions in the Ameren Missouri rate case. Missouri Veterans Endeavor, our organization, is doing what we can with what we have to help a small slice of the homeless veteran population in our state. We work through our case management services to help our clients address their debt. We offer our clients financial stability by providing a lease for housing and having them pay very modest rent to live in our apartments so they are no longer considered homeless. We start by paying their electric bills while working with clients to begin payment plans with utilities such as Ameren. Everything Missouri Veterans Endeavor does with our clients is to ensure that when the time is right, they are able to move from our veteran community to the greater community, receive utilities in their own names, secure permanent housing, and end their cycles of homelessness. Ameren's adoption of our consumer protections would help facilitate this process. As a veteran myself, I am very fortunate to have had a wonderful support network of family, friends, and a community that embraced me when I returned from the war I deployed to and at discharge. However, many of our veteran peers, my veteran peers, and our neighbors in St. Louis lack the support systems I was fortunate to have during those tough moments. I hope that Ameren will join us and embrace our proposals to reduce rates, treat debt, engage marginalized communities, and help end homelessness in the St. Louis region and beyond. I thank you for your time and attention and consideration of thoughtful support for this important matter.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Wallace. You had mentioned consumer protections and you laid out some of them there. Have you contacted Ameren about those?
Yes, we have. We, in fact, did engage with Ameren as part of the continuum of care of homeless service providers in St. Louis County, St. Louis City, and across the region a number of times to talk about ways that we can try to implement certain plans to help our homeless population. And at first, we suggested possibly programs sponsored by Ameren and a gathering sponsored by Ameren of other utility companies, such as creative ways even to reduce debt. The great majority I mentioned earlier, 90% of our homeless veterans that come to us and are referred to us from a variety of sources, predominantly from the St. Louis VA and their homeless program, come to us with this utility debt. Utility debt is a huge barrier and contributor to the homeless population across St. Louis and this region. And specifically kind of in this region with our climate where we have potentially very hot summers and very cold winters. So we have engaged Ameren. There was some enthusiasm at times about creative ways to bring down debt and to work and help us who work with the homeless, help our clients become good consumers of their product. And they had great enthusiasm at the beginning, but then it waned and it has simply has been kicked down the road. We had suggested possibly service projects sponsored by Ameren to be able to absolve debt, financial literacy programs sponsored by Ameren and other utilities as well to help if you graduate from that, draw down some debt and enter into the projects. We have suggested really simpler ways to enter into payment plans and reasonable payment plans. But it's really come to the point where we're just not getting the response that we had hoped and the partnership we had hoped from Ameren in this endeavor.
Okay, thank you for answering my question, Mr. Wallace. And thank you for your comments here tonight. Do
Thank
any
you.
of the commissioners have any questions for Mr. Wallace? Okay, hearing none, Mr. Wallace, again, thank you for your comments and you're excused.
Thank you very much.
Is there anybody else who would like to offer comments tonight to the commission? And again, if you're attending by phone, and you're speaking and I'm not hearing you, you may want to press *6. Any takers? Okay, I'm going to call. There were two people that I'd called early, Joanna Lowry and Gary Steele, who had both signed up to offer comments to the commission. Are either of you in attendance who would like to offer a comment still? Okay, here none. Now I've heard from several of the people who've offered comments tonight about various difficulties that particular groups are having. And I am unaware of all of the programs that Ameren, Missouri has, but I do believe they do have some. I'm going to, because this number was given to us to give out, I'm going to give you the number for Ameren customer service for anyone who would like to use it. And that number is 1-800-321-2477. And that is to get in touch with Ameren, Missouri and ask them about any problems you're having with your service or about any programs that may be available. You can also, if you have consumer questions for the Public Service Commission, you can call the Public Service Commission Consumer Services at 1-800-392-4211. That's 1-800-392-4211. I'll ask one last time, is there anybody else who would like to offer comments to the commission? Okay, hearing
Yes.
none.
This
Yes.
is not a comment to the commission so much. This is Jeff Keeble, by the way. I was just going to suggest that I think it was Ms. Jones had a petition or something that she had signed that she read. I believe things of that nature can be submitted in the commission's file for written comments. So we're going to suggest perhaps she might want to do that. I don't know if she's still on the line or not, but if she is, she might consider that.
Thank you, Mr. Keeble. Ms. Jones, are you still on the line? Okay, I don't know if she is. If she is, or if anybody has additional comments they'd like to offer, those can be offered by contacting the Office of the Public Counsel that can tell you how to do it, or by going to the PSC webpage, which is psc.mo.gov. And if you're making written comments, please remember to reference the case number in this case, which is ER-2021-0240. 0240.
Excuse me, Your Honor.
Yes.
I'd like to submit a comment. I'm not on your list, but this is Janessa Toro of St. Peters, Missouri.
Okay. How do you say your last name again?
Toro, T-O-R-O.
Okay, Ms. Toro, would you raise your right hand to be sworn?
Yes,
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth?
I do.
And I know you've already done it once, but would you please state and spell your name for the record?
Yes, this is Janessa Toro, Janessa Toro.
Okay, and Ms. Toro, what would you like to tell the commission tonight?
Yeah, I would just like to add to the wonderful comments that we've heard this evening and say that I am not representing any organization, and I am not myself homeless and would likely not qualify for any government programming or bill assistance. But I'd like to speak for those of us who do have a difficult time making our electric payments anyways, because of the cost of living that has gone up and that continues to rise, and the cost of other necessary expenses. And that while there are programs that may assist those who qualify in our kind of lower income, and I know we've heard from a few representatives of our homeless population as well, that the brunt of the burden is really often on those of us who do see the full increase and are going to have to pay that in full. So that's my comment.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Toro. Thank you for your comments. I don't have any questions in regard to the comments. Any comments or any questions from the commission? Okay, thank you very much, Ms. Toro. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Is there anybody else who would like to offer comments to the commission that hasn't had an opportunity to? Okay, with that in mind, I'm going to move on to closing remarks. Are there any commissioners or chairman? Would you like to make any closing remarks?
Thank you, Judge. I just want to reiterate my appreciation for all those who took time out of their schedule tonight to participate in the process and share your comments. We do appreciate hearing from you, so thank you for that. Thank you, Judge.
Thank you, Chairman. Are there any other commissioner comments?
Judge, I'll just echo Chairman Sylvie's comments and thank everybody as well.
Thank you, Commissioner Holzman. Commissioner Coleman, did you have anything you wanted to add?
As do I. And Miss Toro may be gone now, but I just wanted to let her know that you don't have to represent an organization to speak to the Missouri Public Service Commission. And so I am glad that she did speak up and have her voice heard. Thank you, Judge.
Thank you, Commissioner. I'd also like to thank all the participants today for their testimony and for taking time. Now, if you have additional comments that you would like to make that you just didn't get to make tonight, or if someone you know would like to make comments and just was unable to be present, as I indicated before, you can make written comments by contacting the same email address that you used to register for this hearing, by contacting the Office of the Public Counsel, or by going to the PSC's webpage, and I believe it's in the upper right, is a place to make comments. If you make comments, please be sure to reference the case number, which again in this case is ER-2021-0240. With that in mind, I'm going to adjourn this hearing and we'll go off the record. Thank you very much.